A fire sweeps through downtown Ketchum, taking with it a big piece of Idaho's history. Day 2 in O.J. Simpson's kidnapping and armed robbery trial wraps up. The man police say Simpson robbed was back on the witness stand today. After big story live at 5:30. The removal process could cost taxpayers up to $100,000. Hill Road is back open again at this hour. It was shut down for about 3 hours. Now take a look up the road. That's where the fire started. You can see there's lots of brush alongside the roadway here. Investigators are saying a teenager intentionally set that brush on fire. It spilled over to 2 homes, and now at least 3 families are displaced tonight. Michelle, Meridian police have just identified that officer as Patrol Officer Will Stoy. They say he's in stable condition tonight, but I want you to take a look at this crash scene here behind me. The sedan with extensive front end damage from where he was hit, and also a mangled motorcycle on the ground. Both an indication of just how lucky this officer was to escape with just minor injuries. And as Hannah just mentioned, now that speculators are bailing out, oil is coming way down. Here's the bottom line. A barrel of oil fell nearly $2 today and closed at less than $101. It hasn't been this low since March 24th, and it's a far cry from its record high of almost $150 a barrel set in July. Sarah Palin grants her first interview since being named a vice presidential candidate. Reporter Christiane Klein has an early look of her exclusive one-on-one with Charlie Gibson. Now, this is really hard to believe, but while some Idahoans paid tributes to victims, others dishonored them. Some vandalized a brand new 9/11 memorial the day before the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department was going to unveil it. The department spent the last 4 years and $10,000 on this project, but someone set the tarp used for covering the memorial on fire.
If you haven't cooked a dinner for the kids yet, you may want to head to downtown Boise for the Big Salmon Barbecue.
It's all part of the 12th annual Salmon and Steelhead Days. Good Morning Live's Lincoln Graves is emceeing the event. Lincoln, you said they just started serving food a short while ago, right? Don't put that in my face. Yeah, it looks too good.
That's just rude to do at dinner time, Lincoln.
I'll try and bring some back for you guys.
Don Shell, we actually watched the process on a slow day. 25 men on the track back to their native countries. But some of these stories may surprise you, especially one in particular, a legal resident who's never really even been to Mexico. A surveillance camera shows 25 men sitting and waiting to either be deported out of the U.S. or to see a judge for their last chance to stay in the country. But some of the stories we heard from these men being handcuffed by U.S. immigration officials surprised us. Stories like Carlos Valdez, a man who's lived in the U.S. for more than 30 years. His parents came here legally. He's married to a U.S. citizen. But now he could be going back to Mexico, a country he left when he was just 1 year old.
I've been here all this time. That's all I know. What am I going to do in Mexico? I have no ties over there.
Valdez pleaded no contest to aggravated battery when he was in high school. He says from a fight. It's a felony on his record that followed him to Canada 2 weeks ago while he was working.
We take oversized loads, places from the Port of Houston. And we took one of the biggest loads in America to Canada.
Valdez thought the felony had been removed from his record, but it wasn't. And now he sits shackled, waiting to face a judge in Salt Lake City.
And he's going to determine what happens. I hope he has the heart to let me go because I want to see my family.
Immigrations and Custom Enforcement says they had no choice but to take Valdez into custody.
We have some amount of prosecutorial discretion. However, in this type of case, that's a mandatory detention case because of that conviction, and we need to keep him in custody. Congress passes the laws, we don't make them, and we are tasked with enforcing the laws.
ICE says every one of these men has a criminal conviction.
They've crossed the line now. They're not just here illegally. Now they've crossed the line because they become involved in criminal activity.
Men like Francisco Zorrito Morales, convicted of several crimes and now being deported.
It's hard.
Another illegal immigrant who asked we not show him on camera has been in Boise for 12 years, working as a sous chef in a steakhouse. This last November, he was stopped for drunk driving, and this month again for driving without a license.
They're taking away from me my friends, my girlfriend, who loves me, and my dreams, my everything.
All these men board a bus. And federal marshals search them before they board a plane for a trip filled with fear and uncertainty. Some on board, repeat criminals who preyed on American society. Others, like Carlos Valdez, less clear-cut.
These are the laws that we're tasked with enforcing.
While coping with an overwhelming problem that just seems to be getting bigger. A plane takes off from Twin Falls every week and normally carries 60 to 80 detainees. As for Valdez, he has not yet seen a judge. The Executive Office of Immigration Review runs the schedule on those hearings, and it will likely be a couple of weeks before he gets to go before a judge and find out what happens. Reporting live in Studio 6, Jacqueline Bennett, today's Channel 6 News.
Reporter Jacqueline Bennett is live in Boise with the story.
Don, the crews are just wrapping up here behind me. Hill Road is still closed off at this hour. It's going to remain shut down for about another 15 or 20 minutes. Crews were battling flames right along the roadside that spilled over to 2 houses. Now it appears this fire may not have been an accident. Fire crews spray water on a charred hillside, making sure flames don't spark up again, as other firefighters work on one home and a triplex apartment on Hill Road. Both caught fire after the wind spread flames over from the roadside. Resident Richard Lyles saw the fire develop.
I really didn't give much thought to it until I saw the pine tree just bright orange with flames shooting out.
One of the residents here says some kids were walking along the street here, kicked a book of matches, set the brush on fire, then the flames spilled over to his house.
He came to me and explained to me what he had done. You know, I don't hold any grudge or ill feelings to him. It's just one of those things that happened.
Firefighters quickly called for backup once they saw flames had spread to both homes.
About half of our department is here fighting this fire, and so we had concerns. As you can see, it spread very rapidly, so here we're only in May, but this type of brush moves very quickly.
Joined now by Deputy Fire Chief Dave Hanneman. Now, we spoke a moment ago how this fire may not be an accident. What can you tell us about the investigation?
Well, Boise Police Department does have a 13-year-old male in custody right now for questioning, and so we're furthering our investigation at this point and going to try to seek the answers from him.
A resident told us that they were approached by a young boy who said that he kicked a matchbook and started the fire. What can you tell us about that?
Well, we don't know exact cause at this point. We are going to be questioning the boy. We do believe it was started by matches, but the exact method at this point is still under investigation, or we're trying to find that out.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we'll bring you much more on the story coming up live at 6. For now, reporting live in Boise, Jacqueline Bennett, today's Channel 6 News.